So we're going to start with the first person on our panel this evening. I want you to welcome Mr. Gary Stager. And his question this evening, his first, by the way, all speakers, first thing is for you to introduce yourselves. And so tell a little bit about yourself, and then you can tackle our question. Each of you have a kind of a unique question. So Gary, your question for this evening is going to be, how do you see Learning 2.0 affecting creativity and talent as educational paradigms change? Okay? So please, take it from there.
Yes! Well, first of all, it's great to be here. As you said, my name is Gary Stager. I've been working in educational computing for the last 25 years. I've taught online, I've worked in prisons, I've been involved in laptop schools for 17 years. I've had professional development at the first 2 schools in the world that had a laptop for every kid. I do a lot of writing and speaking on a variety of topics. Let me take a stab at answering that narrow question by giving you the sort of politically correct answers and then telling you a little bit of a story. I mean, the politically correct answers is that Web 2.0 and the internet and this digital communications technology provides potential for infinite audience for our kids. It allows them to amplify their voice, it democratizes publishing, it offers access to expertise in unprecedented ways. We know all of that. Now let me give you a scenario from my own teaching experience. 10 years ago I created the online Masters in Educational Technology program at Pepperdine University at a time where people thought we were nuts to be talking about running a graduate program online or doing any kind of teaching online. And over time the program develops in the way that I teach, changes, and I've really struggled with how do I bring about the sort of changes in classroom practice that I'd like to see happen if the folks who are doing that teaching have never seen any model of anything different. You know, the motto from all my work is things need not be as they seem. So I decided to, do some soul searching and eat my own dog food, so to speak, and try to find a way to make the class more constructive, more collaborative, less coercive. And I became very careful and deliberate in the way that I use language. So instead of assignments, we now have learning adventures. And that's not just a semantic shift, I mean it. I don't judge the product at all, because 20 students are working together in a collaborative cadre where they're providing support and feedback all the time. It doesn't matter what I think about the output. My job is to keep the conversation moving, and to be Socratic, and to ask good questions, and to provide access to materials. The other thing about the learning adventures is that I don't list them in the syllabus in advance. And there are a lot of reasons for doing that. One of them is that if I told you that in week 6 there was going to be a number theory experiment you're going to have to engage in, half the people in the class would drop the course. Others would hire a tutor, some would start panicking, others would think, oh good, now I can crush the competition. So each week or 2 there's a new learning adventure, and you don't know what it's going to be until I present it. So let me give you a creative learning adventure. It goes like this. Download Finale Notepad. It's free software for traditional music composition, traditional notation. Download Finale Notepad and compose a piece of music. Now the great thing about teaching online is that people like yourselves, who tend to be my students, I can't hear them scream when they're online. Some people have studied music, some people have never played an instrument, some people have never read a note, and yet they sort of download the software, which is a technical act, and they begin composing music. Invariably, someone will say to me, how long's it gotta be? So I answered that question once by saying 12 bars, and that person said, what's a bar? And someone else said, Google it. So they Googled bar, and amazing stuff happens. I've now done this 4 or 5 years in a row. Every single year, every single time, within a week, everyone in the class composes a piece of music. Some are better than others, but they're all composing music. So then I ask them to reflect on the experience. And they say things like, well, I Googled what a bar was. And I read a manual online about the software. I asked Gary for help when I had had questions. I asked my classmates for help when I had questions. I joined an online community of Denali Notepad users and they helped me learn to use the software. One student once said, I got interested in putting notes on the score randomly, and I Googled random music, and I found out about serial music, and that led me to buy a CD by Schoenberg. And I thought to myself, those are all really interesting answers. They're all really interesting responses, all valid experiences. But the emphasis on information disturbed me. And what they were talking about was looking stuff up and talking to one another. They missed the forest for the trees. The big idea there was they were composing music. And that wasn't something that was possible a few years ago. It was something that the technology allows for now. You know, some of you are primary teachers, you know, once a year on Mozart's birthday, you put powder in a kid's hair and he dance the minuet and you tell them about this freak who composed music when he was a kid. That wasn't something that you or I did, or that your students did. It was something that only the elite, only sort of weird people were capable of doing. And the technology allows us to shift from being passive consumers to creators, and the technology of the net allows us to share that with an audience.
Thank you, Gary.